This is kind of old news. I think one of the things people don't understand about the channel is it's not really a news channel. People get kind of all bent out of shape. They go, oh, this happened 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but I haven't talked about it yet. That's what you really should be here for. My insight, expertise, and da funnies. That's the best part of what I do. That's what you should be interested in. And so, with that in mind, this is old news. But it's part of an ongoing topic that I cover a lot of. And it's just this kind of came out of left field. So, as a lot of you Counter-Strike fans will know, the North American scene has been absolutely ravaged. It has been just busted and brought to its knees. I would even argue there isn't an NA scene anymore, per se. I think you just have a bunch of, like, tier 2, not even semi-pro players, and that's about it. You've got NA orgs. I guess on that note, because it's relevant and I can squeeze it in, this happened. I nearly recorded a little quick hit on the Patreon for this, because it happened while I was doing Cluj. So Cloud9 finally released Groove. I mean, I just have to say, like, check stealing, this guy did a fair bit, in my opinion. While he was at Gambit, and it was the online era, the Gambit gaming team, they were fantastic at that time. They were even better than Na'Vi, that went on to be the world #1 team, and went on to win Stockholm in 21. But it was online, and they hadn't really had the cut and thrust of what tournament play is like, and what it's like to play in front of a crowd, what it's like to play on a stage, how everything's a little bit more significant, how the sound handle's a little bit different, how the pressure's a little bit different. And so, during all of this Russia stuff, they ended up essentially having to sell their image rights. I don't even know how it happened. No one will tell us how it happened. We just all have to pretend it didn't happen. But basically, they ended up being bought by the Ulti agency, and then Cloud9 did a deal with the Ulti agency. And then the Russians went to Cloud9, and it's just been years of underachievement. And the entire time, I was told that basically one of the reasons that made them so enamored was Jack really thought that Groove, because he'd been a coach in like other games, as well as coached a really successful CS division, he thought Groove was a genius. He was convinced. And so he kept him on for ages. Basically, Groove was to Jack what Nifty was to Hastro, right? That's the shit behind the scenes that people are saying. So you can fucking make it out what you will. Anyway, Cloud9 have finally got rid of him. It was clear they weren't going to rebuild a team anytime soon. They were letting bits and pieces go. And in the end, Cloud9 have said, we're out and we're taking a step back from CS2, and we have no immediate plans to re-enter. We love CS and are always on the lookout for opportunities. It's just, I just don't know. It's like, for me, like, you're either in or you're out. And Cloud9 have done this twice now, where they haven't really applied themselves to things. Like, since Boston, it's actually just been failure after failure after failure for Cloud9. And in the same way that I've come out and criticized Team Liquid and talked about Joker Steve and said, look, you know, maybe he shouldn't have a job because how much failure can you tolerate? Well, Cloud9, NA's greatest org, the org that won a major in CS for NA, they've done nothing since 2018. Like, they've been diabolically bad. They've gone through iterations that don't even make sense. And meanwhile, we've watched the rise of teams like Mongols that are from regions that have no investment and no sponsorship. And yet they've gone on to be competitive internationally. Most recently being like, I think it was 2 or 3 in the Valve VRS rankings, albeit briefly before Cluj. It's, like, ridiculous. But it's kind of the sign of the times in NA. Like, I feel that all the big NA orgs, even this, they failed, but they weren't failing with American players. And there's loads of reasons why NA's in the toilet. Obviously, orgs are just incompetent and eventually look abroad because they don't know how to develop talent. They don't know how to scout talent, even. The only org that's really been committed to having as much of an NA lineup as possible has been Jason Lake's. That's always been his dream. What happened in Boston, that's what Jason Lake always wanted to do with Complexity. He won't be doing it with this complexity lineup, but who knows what can happen in the future. There's just no talent in the region, right? It's just as simple as that. And there's no big competitions in the region of sort of nurture and generate that talent. And now there's not even really an org to aspire to be on. Team Liquid are essentially a European organization right now, even with the North American contingent. That's how I think of them. Their HQ obviously is in Holland. People move abroad. FaZe just is an international lineup and has been since forever. Complexity are all NA, but don't necessarily have the buying and the spending power, and they're trying to min-max until they level out. So it's just tough. And I did think this was funny. After Cloud9 announced that they were just going to furlough, and as I said, I'm sick, I hate it when orgs do this. I just think, like, if you can't commit to being in the space, if you're going to cut a team when you lose, go out and say, but we're always looking for opportunities, i.e. you can sign instant winners on day one. This is what these NA owners do. It's why I got no respect for them at all. When the going gets hard, like, I think about how ENCE has been run. I think about what, like, the Mongols have achieved. I think about how FaZe is essentially a player-run organization, right? It's just basically run by Carrigan over there. I think about all of these things, and then I think about the sustained failure of orgs like Team Liquid and TSM and Cloud9, and of course it's the fucking cartel, and of course it's the League of Legends people, and they just can't do it. And every time they do the same thing, we're going to furlough and shut her up for a while, but if we get an opportunity, we'll be back. Stop welcoming these orgs back. It's going to be impossible for Cloud9, but it's like, why would anyone be happy about TSM being back? Why? Who gives a fuck about TSM in counterstrike terms? You had the greatest core that ever lived, fumbled the fucking bag because you didn't get on with the manager that they all fucking adored. You wouldn't even tweet when the team was playing, and I'm supposed to be happy you've got a CS team. Couldn't give less of a fuck. And now Cloud9 are in that. Cloud9 are literally in that company. You mumbled, bumbled, and fumbled good lineups over and over and over again, won absolutely nothing. Never questioned for a second, maybe the Groove guy could be the fraud. Oh, I forgot about that. Jace is correct. Yeah, also the TSM thing with the gear. Yeah, correct. Players being made to use equipment that they cannot use, don't use. Don't worry about it, though. These orgs are great, right? Yay, they're back. Fucking love that shit. So, just stay gone, man. There's like 1 million esports now. Just stay gone. Who gives a fuck whether you're in CS or not? It's been 7 years now since Boston. Like, I'm good, actually. I'm all right. But I thought this was funny. Perfecto is still under contract. I think he might be the only person left under contract. And he went on his Telegram when he saw the news that Cloud9 was shuttering shop, and he said, "Kick me, please." Like he's fucking stuck. Like he's stuck in a Discord channel or something. Like that's his life. That's his life, Cloud9. Kick. Please kick. Please kick. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, that was a sidebar. The real problem with NA is, and always has been, NA players and their brains. And I don't know why, but it just ends up like that every single time. And so we've had a lot of, I mean, we've got Dallas, coming up. We got the Austin Major coming up. There was definitely a reason why, if you were one of the handful of teams left in NA, like, just get your shit together and keep your shit together and use the volumetric shit compressor to keep your shit together. That was all you have to do. It's all NA has to do. And then maybe you could get picked up by a TSM. I'm told behind the scenes, TSM are definitely looking. If we can get 5 NA players on the cheap, you too could play in the illustrious history of TSM. This is all out there. This is all being talked about behind the scenes. But they just can't do it. And so we had the sad implosion of party astronauts. Now, this is a player called Axed. I've talked to Axed. I think he's a good guy. Doesn't strike me as a bad guy. He said, yesterday, I made the easy decision. It was real easy. To leave Party Astronauts. I write this as disappointed as anyone could ever be. I joined Party Astronauts last month to join in the hunt to qualify for my first major. And unfortunately, that mission has failed. There was a severe lack of internal trust, communication, and respect. I will not operate in a team where erratic and irrational roster decisions are made without the consultation of the coach and players. Your lack of professionalism has cost you the Blast Open qualifiers, IEM Dallas closed, PGL, Fragadelphia, ECL, and your VRS core. You dug your own grave. And you're going to go, wow, that's a bit fucking strong. What's happened here? Well, towards the end of, 2024, as far as I can tell, there was, a bunch of stuff going on with Party Astronauts. They brought in a player from, Timbermen, the Peeping Kid, and a few other bits and pieces happened. And then Infinite went out to Nouns at the start of the year, and Axt was brought in as a coach. And then in the process of him trying to coach this team, there was all sorts of issues going on where they wanted to make more roster changes and he wasn't in the loop. So where could the root of all the problems be? Well, Fang seemed to think the problems were with Axt. Now again, Justin, as far as I can tell, he's been one of those NA players that's been on the cusp of having a glow up, and he could have easily have been airlifted into a better team if there were indeed a better team to be airlifted to. But without Team Liquid, without Cloud9, and with Complexity having to hold on to retain the core of its roster for VRS, and them having done, by the way, they did an extensive scouting program to find the players that they eventually brought in. They genuinely believe they've got their best guys. I don't know if Fang was even looked at by them. But anyway, I've thought Fang, for the long period of time, he was one of those guys who might have just got the ups. He might have just been good enough to get into Tier 1 and see what happens. And yeah, obviously, yep, Fang, historically, I think, did play on call for a bit. Can't remember the exact period. Anyway, I think he's been one of those players, like a yo-yo player. They up and down, up and down, up and down between the Tier 1, Tier 2, and they never quite find the consistency and everything else. So, he replied, he said, listen, speaking for the whole of Party Astronauts, by the way, we took a chance on you, this is to Axt, and gave you an opportunity when no one else would. And it's a shame that a person who we thought came in with good intentions could single-handedly blindside us. A team that has been working diligently to build towards CS achievements and in the process destroy player reputations and hard work. Our team is built on communication, but you did very little to provide any guidance. And if by irrational and erratic decisions you mean actually developing players' CS2 skills or gameplay as a team, then we stand by our behavior. What roster decisions? There were no roster decisions. By the way, that paragraph, very Trumpian. If it was all in capitals, that would have been perfect. This is truly disappointing and disrespectful. You show a true lack of maturity and empathy. The fact you want to see us in a grave speaks for itself. You dug the grave. How you could single-handedly destroy individuals' efforts and confidence is totally mind-boggling. But I guess now you have shown your true colours, and you go, oh, fuck, man. Well, did another coach get an ego and have an ultimatum, lose his mind because he wasn't getting all his own way? Maybe the players weren't listening to them and he felt like he didn't have any authority. And now a player, maybe arguably a star player, has come out and said this publicly. Well, that's the end of that then, right? You just go, right? And by the way, yes, I saw the spelling and I see people in chat going, haha, Americans. Well, he's Canadian. So now what? Now what? Put tariffs on that, you dickhead. Yeah? That'll be 25%. 25% of your banter going straight to me. Now, when Axt joined as a coach, another player was brought in. It was Walco. And I've never seen him involved in any drama. I can't think of any drama involving him. I'm pretty good on, NA tier drama, right? I've never heard of Walco being involved in any, drama or anything like that. He seems to be a good guy as well. And you're like, well, he's a player, so he's absolutely 100% going to come in off the top rope, and his name is John Cena, etc., and he's going to wreck Axe, right? Normally, I'm a pretty quiet guy online, and I don't want to waste time with drama, but this whole situation blew up more than I thought it would. So I feel I need to give my thoughts and let people decide what they will. First of all, the team would have 100% survived and thrived had Fang not had an enormous ego. Oh dear. So much for the unified front, I guess. Or if Ben had taken action to try and deal with it as opposed to letting it go rampant for so long. Tommy and I tried to give our input without overstepping and taking over the team, and while tactically we improved a little bit, attitude and egos did not. I just want to say that while I disagree with Ben, I believe he's a good guy who's just making a terrible decision, and now shit has blown up and led to this situation. Viz and OG Wizard have been nothing but amazing teammates and friends in this short time, and they have unfortunately had to deal with this as well, but should never have been forced into this situation. Fang, in my experience, has shown he's unwilling to work with people who criticize him or don't agree with everything he says, and when faced with critique or bad stats, he will rage and lash out at people and decide that everything that went wrong in or out of the server is someone else's fault, and that he's just simply doing his best. This has been a very spicy time since I've been back, and was never expecting it to go like this, but I just hope Tommy and I's record has shown, while not perfect, we've always tried our best to be good teammates and friends to everyone we've played with, and that we never wanted something like this to happen. By the way, Tommy obviously being axed. So, in the great battle of the Spider-Man finger-pointing meme, no, you're the egotist, no, you're the egotist, no, you caused the problems. Things were looking real bad for Fang, and I have to say, the way it unfolded in public, it's just quintessentially NA. It's pathetic. It's not professional. It's amateur hour. It's let's put social media perception over reality, over working through our problems. And as Axe pointed out as well, this means there's an NA team that really had fucking little to play for, little to aspire to anyway, missing out on all those sweet, sweet qualifiers, missing out on Dallas, missing out on other potential events in the future, losing your VRS core. And as covered in HLTV, they're disbanded now. They die now. They're gone. That's it. The team is just dead. All those people who made those moves, there's no working through it. Hey, maybe we can heckin' come back, guys. No, none of that. Just none of that. Like, fuck this. Fuck Axton. Fuck Walco. Fuck everyone. It's over. Ben said, that's Ben Leet, in case you were wondering, said, every team has its issues. NA teams more than most, if we're honest. I'm shocked it turned out this way. And so fast, like the snap of a finger, our roster is gone. I'ma just say, Ben, there was probably some time, you know, when you're on the merry-go-round, there's probably some times you can, like, get off. You don't have to stay until the whole fucking machine breaks down. At the end of the day, our team had issues about the vision and play style of the team, and we failed as a team to solve those issues. It's a team game. We all had responsibility set to achieve what we needed to. If you can't put aside your differences for the team, it's never going to function. It's sad it turned out this way. Counter-Strike has been my life, and I don't want this to be the end. I look forward to whatever comes next. And then he added to his statement, Fang and I have spent the last 9 months together on the team, and I enjoyed my time with him. I've learned a lot from him as a player and got to know him on a personal level. He elevated my game and the team's game. Justin is a great player, and I hope we can team again someday. Big sad. Now, if somebody watching this in the future can maybe, well, we can either do it 12 Monkey style and you have to go back in some weird fucked up time machine that might not even be accurate or even happening, but then is happening. You could take this piece of information with you and relay it to NA players back in the past, or for future generations of NA, assuming it will rise again, it will rise up like gamers do. Here's something: if you're ever in this conflict on a team and you've got a guy and he's a good player, arguably your best player, and he says, no, we must do it this way. And you go, no, but I think we should do it this way. And actually one or two of the other guys agree. And he goes, but I'm the best player and the smartest, so we must do it my way. You could go, look, tell you what, right? Why don't we just temporarily try it our way and see if it works? And if you could just give me your full buy-in to really try hard and see if it works. And if it does, no hard feelings. We can all be wrong about the game sometimes. Let's just give it a whirl. But instead, what happens in NA? They go, no, my way is the only way. And if anything contradicts that, it is wrong and bad, and I can never be wrong or bad. And by the way, even if we won the games doing it your way, it doesn't mean it was your way that made us win the games. We could have just been playing bad teams. That's just how it always is. There's historically been so many NA teams that are ultimately it's a tyranny of one or two star players dictating the rest of the roster and how you play and what you do and what even the coaches can do. And this is even at the highest level. So, I don't know. NA, you're going to have to get your shit together.